Hey guys, sup? Phanix here, bringing you guys another Cardfight Vanguard area deck profile. This isn't an A to Z deck profile, this is just one of those deck profiles that I'm doing, I guess based around meta decks and decks I really want to profile before my computer gets wiped, because whenever I do this update security scan or whatever, apparently all my stuff is having a habit of getting wiped. So I wanted to do this before I do that. So yeah. Another reason for me not doing an A to Z is or some random deck is I just haven't found a deck that I like playing. It's also happens to be casual, unlike my basis of A to Z series. So this is we're just going through meta decks. I know CVCTV, from the Vanguard channel, I know they made a Gredora deck profile. And I swear to you, I really was going to do it before then, but then I was focused on A to Z. I also apologize for not posting for so long. I've actually been mainly focusing on Dark Souls 2 playthroughs and Let's Plays and walkthroughs and all that for my main channel doing Charisma. So, I'm sorry about not uploading in so long, but I'm finally getting back to it. And don't worry, I promise you I'll have 8 to 10 videos out today for you guys to enjoy, hopefully. So let's go ahead and hop into it. This will be my Darkface Gredora deck profile. Another thing is I was making all these decks by myself without the help of any videos or anything, so let's go ahead and get into it. My starter. I'm running Childhood Command Rosenberg. So first off, it's of course Auto Forerunner skill and activate on the rear guard Generation Break 1 Dark device. When your opponent has no stand units in the same column as this unit, you may put this unit into your soul and choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and until the end of your opponent's next turn, it gets continuous on the rear guard circle. This unit cannot intercept and cannot be chosen by the effects and costs of your cards. So it's just a really good card, honestly. I like this one personally more than I like the starter, which I also see as a very, very, very close second. I see this one a lot as well, but I just don't like that one as much as I like Rosenberg. And on top of that, it also has the skill of activate on the regard circle the rest of this unit and choose and rest one of your opponent's units, which you can of course use before using Overwhelm to get that extra draw, which could be the difference between drawing into nothing, useful in drawing into that stride file that you're wanting, or just whatever really for next turn, or anything honestly. So there's that. Anyway, moving on. That's it for our Forerunner. Moving on to our starters. I'm sorry. Moving on to our trigger lineup. I'm running 8 crit, 4 stand, 4 heal. 4 copies of Machine Tree Hopper. Activate on the rear guard circle, Generation Break 1. Return this unit to your deck. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and that unit cannot stand during your opponent's next standby phase, and shuffle your deck. So this is just a GB1. It recycles itself, so you get more crits in your deck, so it doesn't really matter if you draw into it, or anything really. Ideally, you drive check it still, because it's a crit, and you can call it for its rear guard skill, but whatever. Just paralyzing an opponent's unit is pretty standard, but it's mainly the fact that it's a recycling trigger, and a recycling critical trigger at that, which really makes it worth running, in my opinion. So there's that. Next up, we have 4 copies of Scissor Shot Mutant Bomb Scissor. So activate on the Vanguard circle, put this unit into your soul. When your Vanguard attacks, if you have a Vanguard Darkface in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gains plus 5,000 power until the end of that battle. This is just a standard put into the soul for 5k and draw. I mean, it's really nothing special compared to what we've seen on other critical triggers, or just triggers in general. But at the end of the day, I just like it because Darkface Felicities and Darkface Gredora both have the name Darkface in them, so it's great. And of course, whenever you stride on top of one of those two, you're gonna get that name anyway. So you're always going to have the Darkface name on your Vanguard circle of this deck. So that's just another plus to it. So there's that. That's it for the critical triggers. Moving on to stand triggers, I'm running 4 copies of Makeup Widow. I've seen some people run some of this, some of the draw. I personally like just running 4 copies of this. and that's it, really. So yeah, auto in the Vanguard circle. Generation break 1, Dark Device. Activate when your opponent has no standing units in the same column as this unit. Put this unit into your soul. At the end of each turn, you may pay the cost. If you do, countercharge 1. Choose one of your opponent's good 1 or less units, and that unit cannot stand during your opponent's next standby phase. I'm sorry, next stand phase. I'm sorry. I'm not actually honestly playing a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! On the side just to warm up for a possible deck profile. Don't hold me to that, but I still do play it. Despite my lack of uploading for it and forever. But anyway. That's it for the sting triggers. Moving on to heal triggers. 4 copies, obviously, Machining Snowing. I believe I explained in a previous deck profile why I prefer the bind triggers, just like I prefer to bind Perfect Guards more than I prefer the original ones, just like the G Perfect Guard Gs that unflip, or the ones that countercharge and soul charge, or whatever. It's just good. If you really want to, you can discard this as cost for Dorcas to search it out, or the Perfect Guard, and then you'll be building up 2 things. You'll be getting that grade that you need, and you'll also be getting the conditional 1 or 2 units in there that you need in order to perform the skill, so that's good. And if you have another one in there, great, you're good to go. Just that. So blind this card face up and choose one of your cards to heal from the drop zone, and blind it face up when this card is discarded from your hand. For the cost of calling a G Guardian, not a specific G Guardian, just any G Guardian, you may pay a cost if you counter charge 1 or soul charge 1, which is just good. Another kind of quick fun fact for you is if you look right beside, a little bit beside the fly, where his elbow would be, you actually see Machining Snowing's artwork. They depict a Xbox, what looks to be an Xbox logo on there, so just in case you didn't know that. Maybe Microsoft actually has some funding or some backdoor dealership with these guys to give them to give them some money to make them produce cards. I'm sorry. I just seriously. I'm sorry. That's it for the grade 0 lineup. Moving on to grade 1s. We're running quite a lot. We're running 14. We're running 2 copies of Vulcan Refractory. Let me see. Vulcan Refractory. Sorry about that. God, Netflix. Worst timing ever. Auto, rear guard, generation break 1, Dark Device. Activate when your opponent has no standing units in the same column as this unit. Put this unit into your soul, and at the beginning of your main phase, you may pay the cost if you do countercharge 1. Continuous in a rear guard circle. If you have a Vanguard Darkface in its card name, this unit cannot be chosen by the effects of your opponent's cards, and your opponent's unit in the same column as this unit cannot intercept. So it's just amazing. Even it works in the back row, so it's just amazing. I just really love this card, honestly. But again, we can only run it before turn at 2. I guess it's kind of like your backup ride target. If you really need to, it's better to just have it for calling, but whatever. And honestly, I do see this quite often for the fact that we're running at half playsets. There's that. Moving on. We're running 4 copies of your ideal ride target, which is Elegant Mutant Twilight Matter. So, auto on the rear guard circle Dark Device. When this unit boosts, if you have a grade 4 Vanguard with Darkface in its card name, you may have this unit gain plus 1,000 power until the end of that battle, and if you do at the end of the battle, draw a card and put this unit into your soul. So you're building soul, which is good for Gredora's skill, and you're also able to draw, which is just amazing. And yeah, I mean, there's just nothing that's bad about this card, honestly. It's just all around a good card. The only thing that's preventing it from being a busted card is that it does have the restriction of being Dark Device exclusive. However, it doesn't really matter. See what I did there? Matter? No. KY? Okay. Anyway, yeah. It's just, I mean, I guess they gotta put that restriction on there, right? Because then it's just not balanced. Moving on, we have 4 copies of Nova Mutant Little Dorcas. Thank God they didn't update it with the new artwork, because I just absolutely hate it. Auto, choose a grade 3 card from your hand and reveal it. When this unit is placed in a red circle from your hand, you may pay the cost, and if you do, search your deck for up to one grade 3 card with Darkface in its card name. Reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, and choose a card from your hand and discard it. I've already went into the units that I would recommend discarding for this, unless you have something else that you really don't mind getting rid of. And continuous in the hand while you are paying the cost for stride. This unit gains grade +2. Just getting +2 grade and accessing anything in your G zone for instant stride fodder is just amazing. So there's that. Moving on for the perfect card, 4 copies of Ink Defense Mutant Black Weevil. So first off is, of course, its continuous Sentinel ability. An auto, choose a card from hand and discard it. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle from hand, you may pay a cost, and if you do, choose one of your units with Darkface in its card name, and it cannot be hit until the end of that battle. So it doesn't guard anything, it only guards cards with Darkface in the name. So really just the Vanguard, and maybe, depending on your rear guards, a rear guard. But anyway, you're really going to be using this to guard the Vanguard, so it doesn't matter. And activate on the drop zone. Choose 2 copies of this card from the drop zone and bind them face up. Draw a card and countercharge 1 or soul charge 1. Another reason that this deck is so good is it annihilates Thunderstrike. Any deck that, honestly, any deck that enables you to bind your cards is amazing because it compares, Thunderstrike in essence compares your bind zone to your opponent's, and they gain benefits off of the difference. So when you're doing this, you can actually potentially end up with more than your opponent, and when your opponent who's playing Thunderstrike has less bind zone cards than you, they basically just auto lose. Because without their keyword, half their abilities are worthless, extensively turning their cards into vanillas. So there's that. Anyway, moving on. That's it for grade 1 lineup. Moving on to grade 2s. I'm only running 11. But I like the 11 I'm running. So, starting off, 3 copies of Vulgar Blister. I would run this card at 4 if I had the space, but I just don't. I really just don't. Continuous on the rearguard circle. If this unit is in the front row, all of your opponent's rearguards in the same column as this unit cannot stand during your opponent's stand phase. This is just amazing. What you do is, obviously, who cares if your Vanguard, opponent's Vanguard column stands, because it's always going to. You'll have Gredora lock down one column, and this will lock down the other, and this will just make it to where they really can't do anything besides have a Vanguard attack, and even then you can discard it easily, honestly, with the massive hand you've got. So there's that. And it also has continuous in your regard circle. You may choose a Vulgar Blister this card from your regard and retire it as the cost of a G unit with the Dark Device ability for Stride, which is amazing. So instead of paying the Stride cost, you just retire this guy from your regard circle and you have instant Stride. The only problem is he is 7k base. If he was 9k base, this guy would be amazing. And I would definitely cut something. But at the end of the day, he's just there. You never really want to ride this guy. You only want him on the rear guard circle. And there's that. Moving on to what I guess I would call your ideal ride target. We have 4 copies of Lighthorn Mutant Dangerous Horn. Auto. When this unit is placed in the Vanguard or rear guard circle, choose a card from your hand and you may reveal it. If the reveal card on your Vanguard is not a card with Darkface in its card name, this unit gains minus 5,000 power until end of turn. And also continuous in the rear guard circle. If you have a grade 4 Vanguard Darkface in its card name and the number of your opponent's rearguards stands 1 or less, this unit gains plus 6,000 power, making it a 16k swing on its own, which is of course 10 to guard, and that alone is just amazing, not to mention if it's boosted, so there is that. I just really, really, really like this card. I really love any deck that can run, or any clan really, that can run the 10k card, the 10k bases that go -5 if you don't have a certain card. Even though it's as generic as it does, and it gains 2k for it. And then you'll have like Burning Horn Revolute, which gains 2k for each face down, or 6k in this card's case. It's just great. It really is. Moving on to your backup grade 2 ride. You have 4 copies of Black Spear Mutant Bulk Wasp. Auto, Generation Break 1, Dark Device. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle until end of turn, this unit gains plus 2000 power. Then if the number of face-down cards in your opponent's damage zone is 2 or more, rest all your opponent's units and this unit gains plus 5000 power. So basically what you do is you'd ride, / stride, whatever, or ride in, stride for all I care, because you can actually ride and then stride, as long as it's your opponent's at grade 3. So, at GB1, it's on you place it on rear guard, it becomes 11k base, and then it becomes 16k base because they've hopefully used at least 2 Counter Blast. I practically know they will have because of the one Counter Blast for starter and the one for Gredora that makes them counter charge. And honestly, they probably would have used more than that, but whatever. In addition to that, it's just good, honestly, because they rest all your opponent's units, and then you use Overwhelm, and you get free pluses, honestly. So it doesn't matter. It's just an all-around great card. That's it for the grade 2 lineup. Moving on to the grade 3s, we only have 8, which is all you really need, honestly. We have 4 copies of Evil Governor Darkface Gredora. This just took this deck and made it what it is. As it has 2 abilities. Auto, on the Vanguard circle once a turn. Counterblast 1. When this unit is placed on Vanguard, or when your G unit strides, not just when your G unit strides, it can even be when it's placed in the Vanguard circle, which I just love units like this. You may pay the cost, and if you do, choose a column, and your opponent cannot call units to the rearguard circle of that column during the turn, and they also can't superior call it as well to that column, which is absolutely amazing. This just locks down basically anything. This was the before it specified that it can't be superior called. Gold Paladins would have been actually decent in terms of like a rogue counter to this, but now it just completely wipes them out, honestly. So there's that. Auto on the Vanguard Circle, Generation Break 1, Soul Blast 1. At the beginning of your ride phase, you may pay the cost, and if you do, your opponent chooses a face-up card from his or her damage zone and counter blast it, turns it face down, and you counter charge 1, meaning you take a face down damage zone and you turn it face up. Very simple card. Very, very, very dangerous implications. There's that. Moving on. 4 copies of Intimidating Mutant King, Darkface Felicities. Auto, Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard or Rearguard circle, again, you just gotta love how generic it can be. You may pay the cost, and if you do, choose a column, rest all. Excuse me. Rest all your opponent's rearguards in that column, and those units cannot stand during your opponent's standby phase. So basically, you lock one column down, you paralyze the other, and you have already gained the 3, 4, 5 cards, whatever your case may be, from the rested units, and you're swinging so. I mean, it's just this deck is just. I better not see anybody playing. If the day that this deck were in Worlds, I quit Vanguard, honestly. I just realized I gave my word. Please don't let this win. Anyway, that's it for the grade. I'm sorry. Also continues on the Vanguard or Rearguard Circle Generation Break 2 Dark Device. During the battle, this unit attacked. This unit gains plus defensive power, and the opponent's unit cannot intercept. There's that. So yeah, no more 15k intercepts. There's that. That's it for the grade 3s. Moving on in the entire main deck. Moving on to the G zone, we have 1 copy of Fencing Master Mutant Deity Anguish Sword. Activate on the Vanguard Circle once a turn. Dark Device, Counterblast 1. Shoot up to the same number of units as the number of units in your opponent's rest, and they gain plus 4,000 power until end of turn. And if 3 or more units are chosen, draw a card and countercharge 1. So it's kind of just there for utility if everything's kind of going wrong, basically. If not, it's great. You could also run this guy who, oh my god, I love the artwork. But anyway, yeah, there's that. It's just good, honestly. It's just really good. Anyway, moving on. We're running 3 copies of Lawless Mutant Deity Tyrannus. So first off, it's a stride text, and activate on the Vanguard Circle, Generation Break 2, Counterblast 2, and choose a card from your hand and discard it. Your opponent cannot call his or her units to your guard until the end of your opponent's next turn, including Superior. Just nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's just no calling. God forbid they have an empty field, and you use Up Tyrannus. That's just that's probably the worst thing you could do to somebody, honestly. I mean, that's just at that point, it's scoop phase, honestly. Just pick up your cards and leave the table. Who cares? Who cares? Like, you're not winning that. You're not winning that match. I mean, if it beats guys, it beats anything, honestly. That's right, Son Vanguard looking at you over there. Just kidding, I love that kid, alright? Oh my god, I just called him a kid. I apologize. I love that guy, alright? He's great. He's probably my favorite Vanguard YouTuber. VanTuber? That's terrible. Okay. Anyway, moving on. 2 copies of Merciless Mutant Deity Darkface. Activate on the Vanguard Circle once a turn. And it just goes on to explain it. We're not going to read that again. Counterblast 1 and choose a face down card from your G zone, not this card, and turn it face up. Well, it can be. It doesn't have to be this card, though. Choose up to the same number of your opponent's rear guards as the number of face up cards named this card in your G zone. I'm sorry. Choose up to the same number of your opponent's rear guards as the number of face up copies of this card in your G zone. And until the end of your opponent's next turn, they get continuous on the rear guard circle. This unit cannot intercept, and it cannot be chosen by your cards and card effects, and costs. And for each rear guard chosen with this effect, this unit gains +5 power until the end of the turn. This is really just a great kill stride. Hopefully you've gone into Overwhelm once or twice, maybe 3 times. You've gotten your hand advantage. You've probably got field advantage. And if not, you just go into this guy regardless, and you basically just control the board, the game, and you win. So there's that. Moving on to the most unfair stride in the game. 4 copies of Poison Sickle Mutant Deity Overwhelm. Stride. Activate on the Vanguard Circle once a turn. Counterblast 1 and choose a face down card from your G zone, any card in your G zone, and turn it face up. Draw up to the same number of cards as the number of your opponent's rear guards in rest, and if the number of opponent's rear guards in rest is 1 or less, this unit goes critical and gets +1 drive until end of turn. So, a few things. First off, if you play card screw. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little bit triggered. First off, if you play this card KY. Okay, I'm sorry. If you use this card's effect, I'm sorry. Okay, last one. That was the last one, I swear. If you use this card's effect, you really want to flip up your Darkface, your Merciless Darkface, right there. Yeah. That way you can get his skill, because you'll have 2 of him face up, and then the third one, you'll stride into the third one, and you can choose 2, so that's great. That's free 10,000. So anyway, so you can either get huge draws or +1 drive and a crit. So it doesn't matter, because the only counter to this was not resting your opponent's units. Don't worry, they have a built-in counter to that. They have a counter to that, which is just, it's actually just, this card, this entire deck is just ace. Anyway, continuous on the Vanguard Circle, Generation Break 3, Dark Device. All of your units gain +2,000 power for each face-down card in your opponent's damage zone. God, just when I thought this card literally could not get worse. But anyway, honestly, if this should be as expensive as Necros and Yu-Gi-Oh was like 3 years ago. Like this just, oh, my entire existence hurts. Anyway, that's it for the Stride units. Moving on to Ultimate Stride units. Of course, playing that 1 copy of Xerath Dragon, Death Guard, and Zoa. We all know what Zoa does. I'm not reading him. It's game. He sacks for game. He's too good. Yeah. Now moving on to G Guardians, I'm running 2 of each of the G Guards except for this one and this one because they both suck. 7 stars Mutant Deity, Relish Lady. Generation Break 1, choose a face down G Guardian from G zone, turn it face up. When this unit is placed on GC, the Guardian Circle. During the bout, your opponent's Vanguard attack, you may pay the cost, and if you do, your opponent chooses 2 of his or her rear guards and may rest them. If 2 guards are not rested, you may draw a card and countercharge 1 and soul charge 1, which is just great. Moving on, we have 2 copies of Ringwall Mutant Deity Morpheum. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Morpheum. Auto, when this unit is placed in the Guardian Circle, if the number of cards in your opponent's hand is 2 or less, this unit gains plus 10,000 shield until the end of that battle, which is good. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I've been your host, Carlos Phoenix, signing out. See you guys next time. Have a good one.